Hello, everybody. This is Radio Free Mormon. There's Bill Reel.
How are
And
you?
this is Mormonism After Dark.
It is. It is getting to be a little dark here in southern Utah. The sun is starting to go down.
It is everybody. We're not going to have the soundtrack for the applause. You're going to have to do that individually in your own homes as you're
Yeah.
watching, okay? But you know how some people, when something surprising happens in their life, there's a phrase that's catching on called "that wasn't in my bingo card."
I have never heard that before.
Really?
No.
ABC, whatever unusual thing it is that happened over there. Well, that wasn't in my bingo card. That's nothing that I would have ever expected to happen.
Right. Never heard
And the
of it.
reason I thought, I'm sorry, the reason I thought of that was because it came to me right before we started the show when we were going back and forth as we often do before the show
Yeah.
and during the show, but we do it before the show too. That you were talking about how you never would have imagined that you'd be doing this at this stage in your life, say, 10, 20, whatever years ago. And me either. Me either. It's an amazing thing. It's wonderful. I love coming down here to the studio on Friday evening, and doing the Mormonism After Dark thing. It's one of my very favorite shows. And what I was going to say was doing Mormonism After Dark at 65 years old was not in my patriarchal blessing.
Yeah. I was telling you before the show started that it's a really cool thing to be one of the truth tellers. You know, you and I get on multiple shows each week, and we have for years. And across different sorts of mediums. I mean, you've written things, I've written a few things too, but you've written a ton of stuff in the apologetic world. And then you little by little deconstruct this thing, and you have this opportunity because of your knowledge and because of your personality and how entertaining and intelligent, witty you are. You get this chance to be in front of people on a weekly basis and be a truth teller. And I was saying before the show started, like, if you'd have told me 25 years ago, Bill, you're gonna start a thing and you're gonna work with people in a community that helps others make sense of information, and you give them the truth and you show them how to connect the dots themselves, you can't be in any greater work in life than to make the world a better place and be one of the truth tellers. So anyway,
I'm having a blast.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to do this. And this is for me, this is my favorite show to do because you never know what's going to happen. It's less scripted.
Yes. And guess what just happened?
What just happened?
Actually, the last Wednesday show was too much last minute. What's going to happen? But that was all behind the scenes. So we're not going to talk about that even here. Okay. Mum's the word on that one. But something else that just happened is that I was contacted by Rebecca Biblioteca at Dark 30 this morning. And she had something that she had sent me, some screen grab. And I looked at it, and I put it up on my Facebook page. It appears, the bottom line of it is, appears that the church, the LDS church, is reaching out to popular influencer types on TikTok or YouTube, whatever, who are popular, in order to ask them to make some popular videos or faith promoting videos about the LDS church, and then pay them for it.
Yeah, and I'm wrestling with this. This caught me off guard. I think you and I both know this is within the realm of what they kind of do, and now it's way more direct, but I wasn't expecting it, and so I'm just trying to wrap my head around it for the first time.
It wasn't on your bingo card, huh?
It wasn't on my bingo card. And I'm trying to wrap my head around it for the first time, and I'm wrestling with something. Doesn't feel right about it. It feels gross. And I think it'll be helpful tonight for us and for the audience to talk about it and try to figure out why it feels gross.
I think so. I talked to this guy named Cobley, some rando.
Yeah, some rando named Cobley.
After I talked to you, and I told him, I said, this thing that's going on. He dude know it. And I said to him, I said, okay, I got a problem here. Explain to me why it is that I'm so bothered by it. And so he did, because he told me why he was able to articulate what it was that I was sensing, but I was not able to articulate yet. So I went to one of the most articulate people I know, and I knew that he knew about the issue as well because he was tracking it over on Mormon Reddit, I think it was some Reddit, probably Mormon, ex-Mormon, but usually he's a Mormon, I think. So there you are. We've got this incredible thing going on where, as Colby put it, what the LDS Church is doing is going behind the scenes, apparently, in order to pay people who are popular to make it appear that they are spontaneously saying really, really nice things about the Mormon Church and Mormonism.
Yeah. And
that's the problem, I think.
Yeah, and I before I share again, what you're saying is absolutely right, and I want to say more about that. But I think it's important that we explain to the audience, show them the images, let them make sense of it too in real time with us, and then I'll comment on it.
Hey, Bill. Tim
Yes.
says Jasmine claims she was never paid. The problem with Jasmine is, after looking at these documents, which we're going to show you here in a second, the problem with Jasmine is okay, look, she does it for free. And I don't mean anything other than that. What they're paying people for is to make positive videos about Mormonism. They don't need to pay her to do that. She's doing it for free. That's what I mean.
Yeah, and there is something different here. These aren't people who are starting off talking about the church in this way. These are social media influencers who the church somehow, probably because of their records, knows that the person is LDS. Now, whether they are believers or not believers, that they don't quite get right, and we'll see that by the video that we show. But they're taking people who are having a far reach on social media in other ways, and they are reaching out to them on the front end to sign some sort of contractual agreement where you'll make things and we'll pay you this much, but these things you make have to look exactly this way. This is how you have to do it. And then you go produce it. And as long as it fits all the things we ask, send us an invoice. And so let's go. Do you mind if we go into it?
Yeah. And to the extent that this were a paid advertisement, all right, because that's its closest analog, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
A paid advertisement. And so on TV, when you have a half-hour show, that's an advertisement. You know what you always see before the show? An announcement. It says, this is a paid advertisement.
Yeah.
Because this stuff is important, and it's also in the law. And I don't know a lot about this law, but Colby does, and he was talking to me about it before the show. At least he knows more than I do. So, yeah, if you are advertising something, product placement, whatever it might be in a movie, and you're paying for that, okay, as long as it's above board. And at this point, the thing I want to make clear is I don't know that the church was pursuing this in a manner that was not above board.
Yeah.
But it's kind of looking that way because it's getting to the point. My comment was, it's a sad day when the LDS Church has to pay people to say nice things about it.
Yeah. In fact, I think the words you actually said before the show were, it's a sad day when the church has to pay people to tell others that the church is true.
Or to say it's true. Yeah. Oh yeah, I did. Period.
Yeah. So run us through this. Help us understand sort of what has happened and what we know.
Yes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, okay, there is an influence out there that I've never heard of before. And there's lots of influencers out there that I've never heard of before. Millions, I'm sure. And there probably are for you too. This lady is apparently a former Mormon. And from what I can tell, she has a channel. She is an influencer. She's sort of a mommy who does stuff. She's also a CEO of her own stationery company. So she's an influencer. And probably because she's an influencer and probably because she used to be a Mormon before she left the church around 4 years ago or so, I think she says. And we'll see her video too. Yeah, that's how they have her email address or why she's approached. And she's approached in a way that is obviously, it's not personalized to her. And obviously it's going out to a myriad of other influencers, social media influencers that the church thinks are popular enough that they might want to enter into a business contract and pay them for saying nice things about the Mormon church.
Yeah. And that's my point when I was trying to make a moment ago, is that whatever she is, okay, she's on the records of the church. That would seem obvious. But she doesn't produce content that criticizes the church. Hence, the church saw her as a potential place to pay this person to say good things about it. But she
Right, and that would be the best place, right?
Yeah, but she also isn't a believer. She doesn't believe in Mormonism. She's out of the church. But because it's never said out loud, because nothing about Mormonism is said out loud, the only way that they could have known, there are other ways, but the most likely way they could have known was that they just are they're comparing social media influencers with the records of the church, and they're trying to make connections on who looks like a good, clean, loyal, obedient Mormon out there producing content and is a member of record. And they're reaching out to them to see if they'll do this.
Right. So I don't know. If this were just purely business, I suppose, as long as it's on the up and up and not, on the down low, which the church has the track record of doing, you got to admit, SCMC, you're watching, you got to admit the church does have a track record of that now, of trying to hide things that they're doing. So I don't know if they are trying to hide this. I have no idea if other TikTokers have taken the deal and done videos, because I wouldn't have seen them or made much of them. By the way, this is 3 months old, though, I think, and that may be significant in that regard. I believe the date on this, because she waited for a while before she went public with this just recently. And then she finally did go public. So, but this is 3 months ago that she got it. So probably lots of other people have gotten it since then. I'm still waiting for mine. I'm just saying. Remember, it's radiofreemormon1@gmail.com. The number one.
Yeah. Where did this image come from?
I believe this comes from what the church sent her.
Okay.
And her name is up there in the upper left-hand corner. It's hard for me to read it from here.
Yeah,
I have that little circle. That is she.
I have it here as well. And it's
okay. So it's Elitza Stinson.
Yeah. Elitza Stinson.
And I tell you what, as long as we got this, you have that up there. Let's just go ahead and play this video and let's hear her tell the story about this.
Okay, here we go.
They essentially wanted like a brand deal, but for the Mormon church, not just some random skincare company, which is truly wild to me to even be saying out loud. And yes, I know I grew up very Mormon. I was adopted through a Mormon adoption agency. I was sealed to my family in a Mormon temple. I literally went to church every Sunday for 3 hours and then seminary at like 5 a.m. My dad was the bishop of our childhood ward, like very, very Mormon. And in fact, my mom is still a member of the church. My brother is. I have a lot of friends and family who are still active LDS. However, I left the Mormon church as soon as I possibly could, and I haven't looked back, you guys. Like, I don't know why they reached out to me, because I feel like I have been very open about the fact that I am no longer LDS and I will never, ever be Mormon. So yes, I was a little surprised when they emailed me. However, when I opened the brief that they sent my way, my jaw was on the actual ground, like speechless. I was expecting to see something pretty mild, like just have brunch with a sister missionary, or, like go hang out with friends, or an invite to go to a Mormon church. No. They were balls to the walls in this brief. They literally wanted a video of me being super heartfelt and talking about how the Book of Mormon changed my life. They want me to share how the Book of Mormon brought peace and clarity and purpose to my life. The Book of Mormon, the one that Joseph Smith found in the ground, I mean this so sincerely. The only thing the Book of Mormon brought in my life was an unhealthy fear of coffee, tattoos, and a weird relationship with showing my shoulders. Like, absolutely not. But it was also confusing because the brief made it very clear, like, do not say Mormon, do not say LDS. They just wanted me to focus on like being a Christian and being Christ-like and Jesus Christ. But then also the Book of Mormon brought me so much peace and purpose. Like, you guys are contradicting yourself. And I debated for a while if I was going to talk about this, because I have no hard feelings towards the LDS church. Like, truly, like I said, my family's still very active. I have a lot of friends who are active. And while it's a no for me, like, I don't have any hard feelings towards like Mormons and the LDS people in general. Like, it's just not for me, cool for you. However, it just feels really deceitful to me to like have a whole bunch of influencers being like, the Book of Mormon brought me peace, but in fact, they're being paid thousands of dollars just to say that. Like, get your bag, but also just know if you're seeing these videos from a whole bunch of influencers being like, I love the Book of Mormon, this is why. The Mormon Church emailed me and tried to.
Okay, I think that's the end of it. I can't hear you, my friend.
Great. We have the documents that she has produced. And I believe these are the documents that she put up as well.
Let me grab that off.
When she says the brief, I think this is what she's referring to. There's this document plus another one, which is the cover email. I tell you what, can we go to the cover email first? It might be a few down. Let me see here. So here's the cover email. It's titled Collaboration Opportunity with Church of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What the hell church is that? I've never heard of the Church of Jesus Christ before.
Yeah.
I've heard of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I don't know who this is from. Hey, Bill, could you read this?
Hi, it's great to connect. By the way, the title, because you said Collaboration Opportunity with Church of Jesus Christ. Hi, it's great to connect. And then it's somebody's name. Grayed out. That makes sense. Let's redact that. A global digital marketing agency. I'm reaching out on behalf of one of our clients, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as we're looking to partner with talented creators like you. We're seeking 2 to 3, and I don't know what is there, but that's redacted as well. So I don't know what that is, but we're seeking 2 to 3 kinds of people to raise awareness and encourage viewers to meet with the missionaries to learn more about Jesus Christ. This project includes full usage rights and is a fantastic opportunity to create meaningful content.
Yeah, wow. What an unexpected surprise. At least they spelled the name of the church right in the body of the email. And when it says we're seeking 2 to 3, I'm not sure if that's people or it's videos from one person. I have no idea because it is deleted, redacted, to raise awareness. So that is the cover. And then opening it up, we find, I believe you have to open up to find this. And here is what I think she was calling the brief. So it's all opened up here. And here's the top half. Here's the bottom half. No, that's the middle. Here's the bottom half. Okay. Here's the thing. Bill did me a huge favor because what I had done was here's the thing. It's way too small to read. So I cut it in half, right? And opened it up to fill the screen. It's still too small to read. So that's Bill right there. We wouldn't be able to read this if it were not for Bill. So creative concepts. Not only did they want you to, use your creativity, they'll tell you exactly what they want you to do. And by the way, the fun thing is, keep in mind that all of this is under the condition below that you have to do this within 30 seconds. That's the best part.
I'll read one. You want to read 2?
Absolutely.
All right. So showcase the vibrant community of the church, highlighting how you found a God-sent sister in Christ, discovered a deep, unshakable sense of belonging, and create a heartfelt montage of moments, people coming together to pray, share meals, hug, lift each other up, illustrating the powerful bonds formed within the church. Share your personal story of the meaningful relationships you've built and invite viewers to imagine experiencing that same connection. If they're seeking a place to belong, let them know there's a welcoming community waiting for them. Conclude with a warm, heartfelt invitation to meet with missionaries and explore how faith can provide a deeper sense of connection, support, and a home.
All in 30 seconds. You get the idea that the person who's writing this there's no connection in their mind between what they're asking for and the time limits they're giving below. Number 2, here's a different idea. Here's a creative concept for you, you popular influencer, you. Start with a relatable moment. Feeling lost, struggling, or stuck in a tough spot. Then show the powerful transformation that happens when someone grows closer to God. Use a before and after approach, illustrating how faith can improve mental, emotional, and physical well-being. Share quick, personal clips of how faith has changed your life, whether in your relationships, mindset, or overall happiness. Highlight the message. This is the message you're to highlight. There's a colon there. The glow through Jesus. Really? Oh my gosh. Highlight the message. The glow through Jesus Christ is real. If this is legit, the church is trying to get influencers to highlight the message about a glow of Jesus Christ. I've never heard of this message about the glow of Jesus Christ. The glow through Jesus Christ. I'm reading this correctly, am I not?
You are. They want you to put up on the screen the glow of Jesus Christ is real and to have it highlighted in some way so that their attention is drawn to it.
I would spell out Jesus entirely in seer stones. So highlight the message. The glow through Jesus Christ is real, and those around you can see the difference in how you radiate with his light. End with a message of hope, reminding viewers they don't have to stay stuck in hard times. Invite them to meet with missionaries and discover how faith can bring real transformation to their lives.
And if that wasn't enough ideas, you get a third option that you can create. And part of this is sort of covered up, but I think we'll be able to make out some of this. Share a passionate message. Stop the nonsense. Faith is where it starts, quote unquote. They want you to say that. Yeah, they've got it in quotes. Stop the nonsense. Faith is where it starts.
Maybe if you shout it sounds more intelligent.
Share how life felt overwhelming, struggling with stress or uncertainty, and how turning to God for real answers changed everything. Talk about how praying, asking God for help, and reading the Book of Mormon brought peace, purpose, and clarity. Share a brief testimony of how Jesus Christ transformed your life, giving you purpose and hope with an empowering, authentic tone. Encourage viewers to ask God, pray for anything, and turn to the Book of Mormon for guidance. Highlight how there's nothing to lose. The Book of Mormon is transformative. Invite the viewers to meet with missionaries, and then, and I don't know what it says there, but something about faith.
Missionaries. I'm so sorry, and I don't know exactly what it says either. It came to me in that way, and I don't know if that's original to it or if someone else put it on somewhere along the line.
Yeah. Anyway,
but obviously to meet with the missionaries, right?
Yeah. I'll start here. The first thing that comes to mind, how are these people any different than paid actors? It's a different way of going about it, but you're paying someone and putting words in their mouth, literally.
Well, yeah, it's a commercial. It is a commercial. Yeah. And sometimes you have people who are famous or maybe once were mildly famous doing infomercials for half an hour at odd hours for different companies.
But it's a deception. So when I watch a commercial, I know I'm watching a commercial.
Yes.
When I watch, this is worse than a commercial. This is watching people who I've grown to like. I spend some time watching them. They got a lot of followers. These are people who have influence for a reason. They're giving out messages, thoughts. They're sharing things that people are attracted to. And these people are followers, fans, listeners of these channels. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly this person goes on a rant sharing their testimony about the Church of Jesus Christ. And I'll stop there, and you know why. And I'll simply say that this is no different than paying an actor to stand in front of a screen, except that the audience is being fooled into thinking it's a real person.
Exactly. And that's the hinge point.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And I think it makes all the difference. Other people may think, well, it doesn't make any difference. I think it does. Because when you have look, here's the thing. The influencer could make it public, right? But on the one hand, no church is going to want it public that they're paying people to say nice things about them. I'm just saying, I really doubt they're going to be public about this, or as unpublic as they know how. They'll be as public as they know how to be.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, if you're the influencer, how would you ever explain that to your audience? I'm saying nice things about the Mormon church because they're paying me to. I don't think you're going to be as popular.
You only have 30 seconds to do this, RFM. The 30 seconds in part is intentionally keeping you from telling your audience the truth about the very video in which you're doing this.
Wow. Well, I just, it's distasteful to me.
It's gross. This is what our church, the church that you and I at one time laid down our time, our energy, our talents, our 10% of our income, a day out of the week, and then some. And we gave it to this thing thinking it was the thing that was worthy of us devoting our lives to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it has turned into a thing that pays people to pretend to talk to their audience and give them a true message about the gospel of Jesus Christ, but which with not only are they paid, they are told what to say and do. So it's not genuine in the goddamn least.
That reminded me of the comment I was going to make about what it had said before in the third one. There it was, that you have nothing to lose. And I thought, yeah, I'm glad there's nothing to lose. I certainly don't feel like I lost anything through my 40 plus years in the Mormon church.
Yeah. And this gets crazier, by the way. The further we go into this, I think the more crazy this gets when you start to look at what they have to do and not do.
Okay. Absolutely. Let's look at this. This is the second half of that rather large illustration. And it's the top of that second half. So there's do's and there's don'ts. By the way, it does look like this Red Thing campaign brief was put on by somebody else, and maybe that influencer, and also this yellow line pretty obviously put there after it was produced. I don't think anything else has been changed. However, these are the do's and the don'ts. And on the left are the do's, and on the right are the don'ts. Bill, which would you like? The do's or the don'ts?
I want the don'ts.
I thought you would.
Yeah.
You want the don'ts for 500, don't
but the do's are very telling too, RFM. They're very enjoyable to share with the audience as well.
Okay, here. Do mention Jesus. No, excuse me. Do mention Church of Jesus Christ within 10 seconds of your 30 seconds. Okay.
What church
Sorry,
is that?
that's your first. That's your very first one, right? Don't exceed 30 seconds. I'm sorry, I just stole yours. But mention Church of Jesus Christ within 10 seconds.
RFM, what church is that you're mentioning?
The Church of Jesus Christ. If you have to mention the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that'd be your whole 30 seconds right there.
Is this the same church that had the gall to preach to the rest of us and say, we want all of you to use the full name of the church, and shame on all of you, media included, who will not do that?
Yes.
And then here is them doing that.
Yes. Unfortunately, because it is in the Doctrine and Covenants, the full name of the church, it's a revelation. I think it's the shortest revelation we have in there. It's basically God saying, hey, this is what I want you to call the name of the church. I changed my mind for the third time in the past 8 years. This time, it's going to be everything I thought of before put together, plus a little bit more. It'll be the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's the name. And to call it the Latter-day Saints is just as much a violation of the commandment as to call it the Church of Jesus Christ.
All right. I want to say something here. I have to connect a dot. So the comment I have up on the screen is the name is Jeffrey Chadwick. By the way, that rung a bell in my head as soon as I heard that name. Yeah. Jeffrey Chadwick is also the same name of the author of Dating the Birth of Christ, a BYU Scholars Archive article. And I highly doubt this is the same Jeffrey Chadwick, but I at least want to note it in case it is, or if he's related in some way. He just might be a Chadwick with the first name Jeffrey, unconnected. But one of the main scholars involved in helping us get the April 6th thing right was a scholar by the name of Jeffrey Chadwick, who wrote the article for BYU, or BYU Scholar. It's an article for them. I think it's
BYU Studies.
Yeah, I'd have to look here. Let me open up the site really quick. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
BYU Studies Quarterly. Yes.
So I think he's right about this too. I think that the church, the whole name is being phased out.
It is.
And I think right now somebody's really mad that it's still in the Doctrine and Covenants, because it's a lot easier to phase things out if it's not right there in your standard works.
Look at that. That's my dad. Kudos to you, my friend. You were that was one of the first topics where I thought, those guys don't know what they're doing.
What do you know?
That's
Your
cool.
Dad is responsible for Bill Reel getting his ass excommunicated.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. He hit the nail on the head, and you hit the nail on the head by drawing attention to it. This is true, by the way. This is the quiet thing out loud that they're doing here. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will forever be connected to the word Mormon and Joseph Smith's hebephilia and Brigham Young's violence and bullshit history being hidden, and it will forever be connected. And the church in lots of different ways has tried to distance itself from that, and you are seeing it literally distance itself from its God-given name in the present moment, 2025.
Yeah, we're watching it happen. It's just strange that it's happening under President Nelson when he's the one who, insisted that be as long as possible.
Twice, back in the 80s with Hinckley, and again in the modern moment when he was in control and could push the change through.
Yeah. Well, there is currently shrinkage going on.
Yeah.
So do mention Church of Jesus Christ within 10 seconds. Do always use his full name, Jesus H. Christ, except they left out the H part. Do use royalty-free music only. Do dress modestly. Do use a joyful and hopeful tone of voice. I'd like to think that my voice is always joyful, sometimes perhaps hopeful too. What do you think?
They are giving you the script. An actor gets a script. Again, these are social media influencers. They are being told to smile in front of the camera, say the things in a certain way. This is no different than having a cue card up. And the only difference is the audience doesn't know this is a commercial.
I think you're right. I'm open to be disproven on that.
How
Because
can
I
they-
don't know of any proof either way, except that I can't imagine the church wanting it known or the influencer wanting it known.
Everybody sold their integrity. Who does this? Who took the offer? Who made the offer? The integrity is gone. This is crazy.
Yeah. So you do use a joyful, there's one more, I'm sorry, on the dues.
Sorry, no.
Do use a joyful and hopeful tone of voice, and do include a voiceover or, talk directly to the camera. Use that joyful, hopeful tone of voice while you talk directly to the camera, would you?
You're subcontracting out your actor, but it's the same gimmick.
I feel like I'm auditioning.
Yeah, good luck. Because you run into a list of don'ts and it further demonstrates the problem. So one, don't exceed 30 seconds.
That one kills me right there. I can't do that. So you're right. I can't.
Don't exceed 30 seconds.
No, not possible.
Don't use inappropriate language. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Don't mention alcohol or drugs. Fine. Don't name any other churches or brands. Don't mention the words Mormon, LDS, or Latter-day Saints. In other words, if you say the full name of the church, you don't get paid. Contract is void and null. See you. Good day.
Good day, sir. Good day.
Yeah. All questions must be submitted in writing. Don't mention the words Mormon, LDS, or Latter-day Saints.
Is it possible that they only mean that in terms of referring to the members as such?
No, you are to use the name. Do mention Church of Jesus Christ. Do not say Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, I know. Well, they got to fit it in this nice little box that they created to stick stuff in.
And I get it. Saying the full name of the church takes more than 30 seconds. I understand the problem.
Yes, it is a problem. But there's I think there's a couple more things, right?
Don't wear clothing with visible logos. Again, these all play parts in a nonprofit and in running branding type of commercials. You stay away from showing the branding of other products unless you have some sort of mutual agreement with them. Don't include watermarks because the church might use these. The church is going to use these. Don't think they're not. They've given you control of your material, but you can bet your ass they have somewhere in the contract their ability to replay these.
Oh, yeah.
Don't include watermarks.
Don't include watermarks.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're worried about getting sued.
Yeah, they are
Although
paying.
these people would not be employees; they'd just be contractors, right?
They would be subcontractors.
Yeah.
They would get a 1099, and they would not be direct employees of the company, but they are representing the brand. There are rules, there are expectations, and you do have a script. You do have some agency to choose among some scripts, but you can't go outside the bounds.
You have absolute free agency. You can choose any one of those 3 scripts and follow all of these rules. And that's your choice.
Nope, this isn't free agency. This is representative agency, because you have to do what they tell you have to do. You don't actually have freedom to choose.
Yeah.
This is moral agency, you see.
Ooh.
So you can't say the full name of the church. They don't want you saying the full name of the church. That seems like a big deal.
I think it is.
Yeah.
No matter how you take it.
Yeah.
Now here's the process. Okay, this is still part of this right now. See these 3 little dots, 1, 2, 3, 4? There they are right there. See? So we've read the do's and the don'ts. Underneath that's the process. And then there's the content checklist. They can't have enough rules. This is why I think this is legit, because Mormons love their rules. And they have crammed as many as they possibly could on this. Process. Step number 1, sign the agreement. Oh, okay. So there's an agreement involved.
I'd read the fine print. I would read the fine print. These guys are known for not being honest. Read the fine print.
Which I'm going to guess, even if it's done by template, still has to have be individualized to the recipient. Sign the agreement, create and submit a script for review within 3 days. Step number 3, film and submit the content for review within 5 days. And then 4, create an invoice. An invoice. That sounds like money. Sounds like money's involved with an invoice.
Yeah. This could fall under the realm of what I would say is a wide umbrella called priestcraft. When you pay someone to give a scripted testimony or share something meant to manipulate you into feeling elevation emotion, and they've been paid to do it, it doesn't come from the heart. It isn't genuine. They didn't plan on giving this video in the first place. It's when they saw that they could make some money that they submitted a script and recorded it within 5 days and then sent an invoice.
Yeah. And I wonder how many of those have already happened, because once again, this is back in March, I believe I saw that. And so it's been 3 months. It's now over 3 months, actually, where it's June 27th, 2025. And praise to the man who communed with Jehovah and a poor wayfaring man of grief.
Yeah.
Today is the 181st anniversary of the martyrdom of Joseph Smith and Hiram Smith in the Carthage jail in Illinois.
June 27th.
Right after they drank the wine.
And
after reading a little bit of Josephus.
After reading a little bit of Josephus.
You know, when someone's reading Josephus, I myself favor a glass of wine.
And taking off their underwear and going commando, because it's so damn hot there in Carthage, Illinois in June.
I wouldn't have had my outer clothes on either. Jeez, I would have been like just a cat crawling up the wall.
Reading Josephus, half in the bag, taking off their undies.
It's a good thing that mob showed up when it did. That's a terrible thing to say. I'm sorry. Too soon. Boy, Mormon history would be a lot different. They'd have a lot more died.
That party was about to get crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think you're right.
So step number 1 is create an invoice. We did get to number 4. So that's what you do. And we don't have the agreement or anything else, but those are the steps. So presumably there's something to sign. The content checklist. Do you want to do this one from the left over to the right, Bill? I think this is the bottom part.
Yeah. Can I say one more thing, which is to the viewer, to the audience? if you see videos of this happening, it's pretty clear that it will be this happening because the script is so well spelled out,
Yeah.
you'll be able to see it. Would you please send a message to RFM and I, letting us know the links to the videos where this is happening? I think we'll come back and revisit this. And we'd like, I think, at some point to show a few of these videos and see what content creators, influencers out there are having an impact doing this and taking the money and creating a 30-second commercial for the church.
The password is stop the nonsense. Faith is where it starts. I predict we'll be hearing that phrase uttered in several different influencers' videos. If so, I think that's a smoking gun that they are guilty of priestcraft.
What was the other one? It was in the first paragraph up at the very top.
Oh, what was it? Was there something to say?
Yeah, there was something here.
Oh, the glow of Jesus in number 2.
Number 2, the glow through
glowing Jesus. It's
real.
like dashboard Jesus. I mean, doesn't he glow in the dark? Isn't that the whole point?
These are the signs and tokens. When you see them,
Yes.
grab one of us by the shoulder, put your mouth to our ear, and whisper into our ear the URL where these videos happen so that we can point out the folks who are taking the money.
Those who are on the take. And, it just seems to me that if you actually believe something is true, then you might do something for free. Like, I don't know, go on a mission for 2 years of your life. And I got to tell you that the missionaries come out smelling a lot better than any influencers who do this. Because whatever, misgivings I may have or you may have about missions and missionaries, at least they're not getting paid.
It's funny you should say this. By the way, folks, the number is down below.
Are they going to start paying them?
No, it's interesting you mentioned about missionaries going out for 2 years. Because that's not exactly how it works.
Right.
Sometimes it's 18 months because they're a female. And sometimes there are other exceptions, which we'll get to in a little bit. The phone number is 662-667-6667. And the URL link to come into the studio, I'm going to share in the live chat right now, but it's also pinned in the live comments.
By the way, everybody, look at all the rules that they have for people that they're just sending out an inquiry letter to. Okay? Remember that these are the same people who blame rogue artists for their depictions of Joseph Smith looking at the gold plates that get published in the church magazines. These are not rogue artists. Their artwork is detailed and ordered by the leaders of the church every bit as much, if not more so, than this is being done to influencers.
When you hear people not use the full name of the church, who are believing, testifying Mormons, who refuse to say of Latter-day Saints, who only refer to the church in their conversation as the Church of Jesus Christ, you can know that they have been impacted by this new directive that is going out in the church. Because it isn't just here. You and I have heard this before. There are other things in the church where they are wanting to shorten the name to the Church of Jesus Christ. Their website, for instance, right? The Church of Christ.
Yeah, they did that from the beginning. That was one of the big moves they made early on that was quite costly.
This is coming. It's going to be a revelation as soon as enough people sort of warm up to it. But think of that. They are going to get rid of the name because they don't like it being linked to the history and the name Mormon. They want to get away.
This signals the weakened state of President Nelson and the rise of President Oaks.
I think this speaks to a church that is ashamed of its history and its reputation.
Among other positive qualities, apologizing is not as expensive as doing all of this.
Yeah, it is cheaper. Maybe. They seem to think that this works. That
they will do anything and everything to keep from apologizing. Yeah. They'll change their whole damn name. And they still got the same president who makes such a big deal about it early on in his administration. which was 17, no, just a little over 7 years ago, I think. It was January of 2018, correct?
Yeah.
Or is it 17?
No, I think it was 18.
I think it was 18 too.
Mhm.
So he hasn't been there that long, and now God's changing his name about the church's name again. Excuse me, God is changing his mind about the church's name again.
Yeah, this is a strange thing. The church is wanting to become something that is no longer connected to its name and its history. It wants to step some distance away from that in whatever ways that it can. And you take people slowly, right? The ones that need it to be the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will have enough material around them for a while to be able to see the church still as that.
Mhm.
And then there'll be a whole generation of people who will slowly be nudged. Don't bother, you don't need to say the whole thing. Shorten it up. Testify, because we're the church and you'll have good reasons. You'll have theology around that the most important thing about this church is Jesus Christ. And it's going to get away from its own name.
Well, it's gotten away from everything else. I
Yeah.
don't know why its name should be any different. Maybe getting away from its name is just the final endpoint on a long train of changes.
Yeah.
But can you tell us what these last things for the content checklist? Obviously, you're just little kids. You didn't become popular influencers by knowing what the hell you're doing. So let's just treat you like little kids and tell you the content checklist, okay?
Not only are we paying you, not only are we giving you the scripts, you can pick one, but you have to pick them from these scripts that we give you. Not only do we have a ton of do's and don'ts, and again, namely not using the church's full name, but we also have quality expectations for the video, and you will need to carry out that video to this degree. So it's video quality, film in a clean and well lit space, because appearances are everything. Sound, ensure clear audio without background noise. Make it professional. Make sure the equipment's good. Don't just be using the laptop camera and the laptop microphone.
I would be so insulted if I got this. I would send it back and tell them to shove it.
Safe zone. Keep key elements and subtitles within the safe zones. What this means, RFM, is that when you create a thumbnail or a video, YouTube, for instance, will place certain advertising or cues to click something else in certain places, and then certain places are left open. And the church says, we're not going to pay you unless you ensure that the quotes and the words that we've asked you to say, that we're paying you to say, that you highlight, they need to be in places where nothing will ever cover that up based on how YouTube places things in the image.
Or TikTok.
Yes.
Because they got those little
Yep.
icon things down the right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's always a challenge. So definitely we want to keep those key elements and subtitles within the safe zone so people can read this. I mean, this is what they're saying. We're going to pay you to do this, and we want everything to be able to be seen, and we want it good video quality, good sound quality, everything in the safe zone. Maybe we'll say a few words about lighting and reflection.
When you have no ethics or morals, you don't know where the line is because you've been breaking it all your life. And where someone like you or I sees this whole thing and we go, this doesn't feel right. They've been crossing that line their whole adult lives.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know when they cross it. They often have to have it pointed out to them when they make ethical or moral blunders.
Well, I hope they're taking notes because they've been making a lot of them in this.
Yeah. The lighting, avoid dark or overexposed shots. We want it to be cheerful and bright. So there's the facilitating that people can feel the spirit, and also a professional commercial quality where everything can be seen and it's really clear what's going on in the video. This isn't any different than a commercial. And then the last one is reflection. Avoid screen reflections. So they want it to be, again, professional and not to be showing something else in a pair of glasses or a window or whatnot.
Yeah, which has always kind of distracted me about John Dehlin, if you know what I mean.
I guess.
Was that for a while? Is it he that I'm thinking of, or is it someone else? I don't know.
I don't
But that's
know.
why I don't wear glasses when I'm doing this, because even though I'm blind as a bat, which I prove occasionally by knocking things over that anybody, could see. Yeah. So that's why I don't wear glasses, to avoid that reflection. Somehow you managed to seem to avoid a lot of reflection, Bill. Are those special lenses, or do you do something?
I don't do anything. I think it's just the professional lighting that we have here that there's a little less of that. Thanks to the husband and wife who were supporters of the program, who provided all that equipment to us.
Yes. Amen.
Mhm.
Colby Cobley says, it's so funny the church relies so regularly on feelings while knowing full well they're literally paying people to create those feelings. Heart sell for Gen Z. Yeah.
Kobe's right. Commercials are meant to pull you in and manipulate you into buying a thing that you didn't have any intention of buying 30 seconds earlier. And the church is doing all the components of that, but in a more deceptive way, and manipulating its viewers into feeling something and wanting to do something.
Yeah. Josh Kim had said he's dialed in and ready to tell us about his experiences. Do you know what that's about, Bill?
We've got 3 calls in the queue.
Okay, so I don't know what those experiences are. I hope that's not because I forgot.
I hope he wasn't at Carthage.
Maybe that's what it was.
There we go.
He's the one that got away. He's like Frankie Avalon at the end of the movie The Alamo.
Yeah. This is crazy. And it's gross. Soon as you saw this, soon as Rebecca, it's gross. How do you know you're not being tricked into believing something that isn't true? How would you know? How would you know you're not being tricked into believing something that's not true?
I'm just going to let that one hang there.
Yeah.
My mommy taught me not to answer rhetorical questions.
Let's go to a couple of phone calls, and then we can pick back up where this leaves off. So, Mary, you wanted to talk about the name of the church. First off, welcome to Mormonism After Dark.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
I just wanted to say that when I was in the church, I worked with public affairs for a long time. And so we were told to use the complete name, right? And the guidelines we were given were the same that they gave to Associated Press. And the first mention in any article or any kind of event, news event, was the whole name of the church. Any mention after that, it was to be simply the Church of Jesus Christ. So that's kind of been enforced for a long time.
Yeah, after saying it once the whole way through, after that, you can stop at Jesus Christ and be okay with the guidelines.
Right. You were supposed to.
Right.
This is different, though.
The reason
the listener has no opportunity to know that this church is the same as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Exactly.
Miles away.
Understand. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And the reason is, it's like you've been saying, they don't want to be associated with the words Latter-day Saints or Mormons at all. They want people to think they were some mainstream Christian church.
Mm-hmm.
That's their whole shtick now. And this whole thing that they're doing, it's just purely advertising.
Yeah, it's just a commercial.
So, yeah, it's duplicitous. But
yes,
they always
it is.
have been. So there you
That's
go.
a good word to use to describe it too.
It's just a commercial wrapped in the wrapping paper of a legitimate person creating a video that you've been following for weeks, months, years. It's a commercial disguised as something genuine, and the viewer doesn't have enough information to discern that.
Yeah, it's always wrong. It's wrong on behalf of the church. It's wrong on behalf of the people who are going to fall for this and do this for money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, Mary.
Anyway,
Thank you.
great show, you guys, as
Thank you.
always.
Thanks so much, Mary. Thanks for calling in.
Have a good
Hey,
evening.
Bill. Bye-bye. Good
You
week.
bet.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Bill, I got a hot text here from Rebecca. She says, good God. What?
I didn't say
Oh,
that.
were you saying so? Okay. I didn't know if you were waving me off.
No.
Says, good God, y'all. I had info on the payoff and breaking news on the BYU quarterback. Let me on. I've been in the queue forever.
She's not in the queue. I'm looking down below. So Rebecca, let me send you a link. I don't know if, I think you're using the one that was sent for the newscast last week, perhaps. So I just sent you a link on Facebook Messenger. Please come
She
in.
says, I am phone. She says phone.
Oh, she's on the telephone. I got you here. I'm sorry, Rebecca.
Yeah,
I'm
you
trying
deal
to
with
stay
Rebecca.
in the
She's pretty upset.
conversation too.
Can you hear me?
It
Please.
was all Bill's fault. I just want to make that
hear you.
point clear.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I'm not in my studio. I'm trapped away from my studio.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, I would have loved to have been on. No, I've just been in the phone enjoying the show.
What do you think, Rebecca? The moment you saw this, it just didn't sit right, right?
No, I knew. I found this at 1:07 a.m. I was already in bed. I said, shit. I jumped up. I put on my podcasting clothes and I made a short and had it out by 1:30. And then I texted RFM. I said, this is huge. Get ready. We're going to have to cover this. As soon as I woke up, Jasmine Rappley had already put a video out. You know, she's an LDS influencer. You're probably familiar with Jasmine.
Yes. We
And
mostly know her by her
video
sobriquet.
said, oh, you know, I don't know if this is real. They've never asked me for anything, right?
They're
You
not
hear what I
going.
said at the top of the show?
And then she said, maybe they're trying to hire him for church videos or something like that. Because this is true. We've talked about it on the newscast before that they do pay thousands of dollars, you know, for videos and things like that. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of pushback today on the idea that they were paid, right? And
Yes.
you guys kind of covered that. And as we saw, it says clearly invoice us, right? But here's a very interesting, I'm just going to read this really quick because this is kind of breaking on this.
What are you reading?
The person who put out the video originally that you guys played, she answers this. So somebody says, hi, I worked at church headquarters managing the online store and in marketing. To clarify, and this is regarding the pushback, you know, are they paid or not? The church does pay for these ads and social promotions because they pay the agencies who then execute the project. So that is the only thing I would push back on this video. To say the church is 100% hands-off in paying influencers is incorrect. So they pay a middleman, but they still pay. So then the person who put out the video originally.
No, wait. Are you saying that the
They're
agent only exists
not
to be
paying
paid in this
anyone
transaction
to
and his
share.
client doesn't get any
Rebecca.
money?
Yes.
RFM, say that again.
Are you saying that what the church is saying, or this person who says they're a representative of the church is saying somewhere, is that the church is paying money for the agent, but nothing for the agent's client?
This is how they're spinning it. People are saying
the
that the
church
church is not paying these people.
Right.
But this person who works in marketing says, well, they're paying the agency to find the influencers, to collect the invoices, to make the payments. So that's kind of like going to a restaurant and saying, well, I paid the restaurant, but, you know, I didn't pay the chef or the server. You know, it's those wiggle words again. Yeah, so even the person who put out the video is saying, oh, no, the church didn't pay the influencers. It's the marketing company.
Rebecca, two things here. One is that that's nonsense. They're paying the agency,
Exactly.
knowing that the agency is taking that money, some of it, and paying the people. It has agreed to the process. You don't get to walk away from it. The second thing is there's another problem here that you guys haven't thought of yet, which is, I don't think so. They're only approaching, I assume, Latter-day Saints. Some of them are believers and some aren't, but they're approaching Latter-day Saints. They're not approaching non-members. How did the agency know who the members were? I mean, the church has membership rolls, but these are the sacred records of the church. It doesn't give out, tithing information. It wouldn't give out members information for sure. How would the agency know which social influencers are Mormon and which ones aren't?
That is very interesting because especially this one, the one that broke this, she says she has stepped away from the church a while ago. I don't think she makes content like we do that's, sort of post-Mormon type stuff. She has her own company. She's very well known. So that tells me that they saw someone who's well known. They somehow, like you said, Rolls or whatever, said this is an LDS person. And then they sent her, the press packet. So you're right.
Here's my question.
She didn't go to, say, Jasmine, who put out, content all the time about positive LDS things, tells me, I don't know what it tells me. It's interesting. What's your question?
Well, Jasmine does it for free. They don't need to pay her.
Oh, I think it's different than that, you two.
Well, Scripture Central, she makes money.
They're not looking to pay the Mike Ashes and the Neil Rappolis and the Stephen Smoots and the Daniel Petersons and the Jasmine Rappolis and the Don Bradley.
No.
They don't want, they're picking people who are innocuous when it comes to Mormonism, who have a huge following as influencers. The potential pool of people they're reaching out to is this little group of people. And Jasmine and all of her cohorts, Robert Boylan and all those guys, they're all over there.
Okay.
Right.
Very good.
And I think they want a certain demographic and a young person. And you know what I mean? I think you can see what they're trying to target, kind of. Someone who's not maybe instantly recognizable. So you might think, look, here's just a sincere, nice, cute girl who's telling me about God. I am going to go to church.
Right. And I allowed myself to get distracted. I think I distracted myself from my point, which is this. If we're talking about agency fees versus church versus influencer, right? My question is this. If that lady over there that you're talking about, the one screaming in the plane that's going down, flames, the story. If she's right, why is it that these documents appear to say that the church hired an agency, although I think it's probably a shell company. It's located down the hall. It's in the church office building. Anyway, the church hired this agency, and the agency is the one reaching out to the influencer, correct? And the agency's directions for the influencer have to do with making an invoice.
Yep, that's what I say. That fourth step, invoice, clearly money is changing hands. And that's where all the pushback on social media is today. People are saying, nope, you can't prove that. I need receipts. And I keep pointing to that invoice right there because that's it.
If you're sending a direction to an influencer and the last segment of it says, and submit an invoice, that's proof.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you also can't tell me that the LDS church didn't have a hand in creating this press packet. I don't think a media company would come up on their own with these specifics. The LDS church is their client.
Oh, no, the church did that.
They told them extremely specifically what they want said, down to the word. Stop the nonsense, right? So I don't think there's any question.
You don't think that the church's PR team has direct connection to be able to have power to influence what is said and how it's said and what we want this to be and how?
Yeah.
Of course, there's a liaison who's in every meeting as this stuff's going on.
Yes, it might even be part and parcel of the Strengthening Church Members Committee. But there is a way out, perhaps. Perhaps this is what happened, okay? Perhaps that document that we read, which was submitted, obviously written by the church, right? We agreed on that. Maybe that was made to be submitted to the agent. And it was the agent's job to do his invoice as opposed to send it on. But what is the church doing? Is the church saying, hey, we want you to do this and we'll pay you, but we're not going to pay them? That never happened. I don't believe that ever happened.
Yeah.
The church contacts an agency and says, we want you to get your influencers with Mormon connections on here, and we will pay you, but we're not going to pay them. That's the deal. You got to sell them. No, that didn't happen.
No.
I think it's something different. I think that the graphic being called, I'll put it back here on the stage, this graphic, this is created
it's
technically
the agreement.
This is the agency. So the email's coming from the agency. The graphic is being represented as owned by the agency, distributed by them. The invoice is going to go to the agency. But the church is going to happily pay. It's already agreed. However many of these you can get, we will happily pay per person this much.
Yeah.
And here's the fee for that. And here's the cost for what you charge to get this off the ground and run this thing. You can't get away from it.
Nope. No, so those are my thoughts on that. We're going to cover it more on the newscast, but I wondered if you guys had heard the breaking news or maybe already covered it. I haven't listened all
Can
tonight.
I stop for a second before Rebecca? Before you get to that, I want to hear it, but I just want to make the observation before we move on from the subject that the very fact that people are trying to defend it on the basis that the influencers are not being paid are tacitly understanding and recognizing that it would be a bad thing if the influencers were being paid for it.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's nice to note this at this point in time, because if and when it turns out the church is paying for it, they're going to change their mind. And suddenly it won't be a bad thing for the church to be paying for influencers to say nice things.
It's a weird thing that there aren't enough people out there that just do this on their own because the church is amazing. That they need people to do this so bad. And there aren't enough of them doing this that you have to pay people to say the thing you want them to say is so as to manipulate people into feeling elevation emotion and having good feelings about your religion.
And it has to be highly produced. That's the thing. For everything they tell you to do or not do, it shows that there are probably videos out there where people did those things, well-meaning, but not what the church wants.
Oh, and by the way, anybody who's going to do this is going to be sending it in over and over and over again because it's being reviewed by a committee, and everybody thinks it's their job to find something that needs to be changed at any step along the way.
Yeah.
So they're going to be earning their money, ill-gotten though it may be.
Yeah, they pay. They do pay well. Remember, we did that story on the sacrament meeting where they wanted people that looked like normal people that had to have a temple recommend they could have piercings, long hair, different colored hair, tattoo. You know, they were paying thousands for that. So they do pay well. They pay scale, industry, wages. So yeah, these people are making money to do this.
Well, that's good to know. Hey, Rebecca, One-Eyed Jack says, thanks for always shining the light into the dark corners. I know I saw some of those reels and it seemed weird at the time. Now it makes sense. Weasels. They all are weasels.
Yeah.
Thanks, One-Eyed Jack.
What was the other thing you had, Rebecca?
Well, I think this is your story for Monday, RFM. The lawyer and the quarterback have spoken. Have you guys seen this at all yet? It just came out an hour ago.
Which quarterback is this? Is this the one who was in trouble with an allegation of...
Yes, he's the BYU quarterback, and he has a sexual assault against him, and he has come out and made a statement, and also a filing, which I'm sure you can look up.
Well, what did he say?
I can read this really quick. It's very short.
Okay.
He says, this is just a summary. There's articles everywhere. In a court filing, BYU quarterback Jake Renslaff denied each and every allegation of sexual assault, the lawsuit said. He claims the sex was consensual. He cited flirtatious texts. And if you go to KSL, you can read those flirtatious texts. He claims the two never spoke or texted during the 2024 season. This is interesting because the incident allegedly happened in the fall of 2023. He said there was no communication for a year until his name started to be mentioned as someone that's going on to the NFL. Then suddenly there's a lawyer and a lawsuit. And also he alleged that the plaintiff has had sex with one or more Utah football players. She apparently is from Utah State or came up there. So anyway,
no, maybe it was. Is it possible? I'm so sorry, Rebecca. Is it possible I was right after all? Remember when we were trying to make sense out of the cop going to her a second time about a different football player?
Oh, yes. You did make that call. But again, this is very problematic. His defense is this was consensual. I know personally people who had to leave BYU because of sex with a fiance, sex with a longtime girlfriend. These people had to leave. Will this quarterback have to leave? This is his defense. He says, nope, this was consensual. So I don't know. This opens up a lot. I think maybe that you should cover this story, RFM.
Maybe I will. Thank you so much, Rebecca. By the way, Rebecca is the person with her finger on the pulse who digs up all these stories. She's absolutely amazing. But I think maybe what they should do is just take this guy and send him on a 1-year mission till everything blows over.
They might. It wouldn't be the first time.
Don't get us started on that. Nope. All right. Let's get the other callers.
Hey,
but I
Rebecca?
just wanted to make sure everybody knew that breaking news. Yeah.
Rebecca, plug Mormonish for a moment. Tell us where folks can find it.
We're everywhere. Audio podcasts and on video. Mormonish, we're just around. I was riding the commuter train the other day. I'll tell this quick funny story. I go back and forth and I fell asleep. Probably because I stay up in the middle of the night making shorts, right? Like I did the other night. Anyway, I woke up. I was startled. I'm like, okay, what stop am I at? It kind of looks like mine, but it wasn't. And I said to a gentleman in the seat behind me, excuse me, what stop are we at? And he said, Rebecca, Mormonish? I was so embarrassed. I said, please don't tell anybody that I fall asleep on the train. Anyway, I thought that was really cute. So yeah, you can even find us on a commuter train asleep.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you, Rebecca. Have an awesome day, and see you at the
You
newscast.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
I'm guessing that she hadn't gone past her stop or anything.
I realize that 98% of the audience knows where Mormonish is, but for the two people who don't know what work she's doing, you just go onto YouTube and type in Mormonish, Mormon with an ISH on the end.
Yes.
And check out the show. Her and Landon do a great job. So
We want to make sure that the SCMC knows where to find her.
there you go. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. Yeah, the Retzlaff thing. I mean, you have the honor code broke. He's admitting the honor code broke, and he broke it with just a stranger person. It wasn't his fiance. And you've sent people with about to
Apparently
get
there were
married.
tags.
Yeah, but sex happened according to him.
Yeah, he's admitting that there was intercourse.
It's
He's
still an
denying
honor
that
code
there was
violation.
forceful or no, he's denying that. He's saying she consented is what he's saying.
Yeah, but he still broke the law of chastity, which breaks the
Yes.
honor code. And
Yes, he's admitting to breaking the honor code. And the question then is, what are you going to do about it, BYU?
he'll play. Mark my words, by the way. He'll play. There's too much money invested in this. He'll play quarterback. They will justify it.
See, money corrupts everything it touches, it seems. It's one of those things in life that, it makes the world go around famously, but also there's this corrupting influence that's reflected in the New Testament. I see it here. I suspect that its odor is over this whole payment scheme to influencers. I just think that we all have to make a living, and we should be honest about what we think and what we're doing and what our motivations are for it.
Yeah. It helps to be paid to tell the truth. It helps. You tell the truth. It's easy. You just tell the truth.
Is anyone else on the phone?
Yeah, so we've got another call. This is Josh Kim. He wants to share some of his experiences with. How was it in Carthage, Josh? Was it a good time? Do you guys have music playing?
No, it was a great time. I got to get a couple of shots off.
Nice.
What do you
By
mean?
one of the Smith brothers. It was awesome.
Yeah,
Oh
nice.
my gosh.
Oh, don't be perverted, RFM. You know what I'm talking about.
It's pretty dark humor.
It's just good, clean fun in Joseph Smith's life.
Yeah,
Just good, clean fun.
So are you there today, Josh? Are you there today at your Carthage?
No, I'm in Lehigh right now, where I've been for years.
Okay.
I wish I was somewhere else, but
You ought to get out
it's
more
so
often.
hot. But actually, I should. Actually, one of my friends is cooking dinner for me because I think he's about to leave soon, and we're gonna share a couple of cigars and maybe some wine before he goes. So I'm looking forward to that.
That would be nice. Can you
Yeah.
tell tales of the campaign in India?
What was that?
Yes, and you can share tales of the campaign in India.
No. I could share tales of my time in Iraq, I guess.
Hey, those would be good tales.
Actually, those would be good tales. Actually, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, because when I was reactivated as a member of the church, I kind of went from being kind of like a lukewarm Mormon to more of a believer, and then I kind of, I had to puff my chest a little, because I was like, well, at least our church doesn't have priestcraft, right? We preach the gospel because you want to, right? Not because we're getting paid to.
And the leaders of the church, those apostles, they're not getting paid. That's because they really believe it.
And that's what, yeah, exactly. But that brings to mind, this is how much of a bubble I was as a kid. My young men's president mentioned to me when I was like a teacher or deacon, he mentioned that the brethren do get paid. Like, and like he said, he counts it in terms of a stipend or like a recompensation for like, working full time for the church. And he also mentioned like, I think it was like Huntsman Sr. who provided his like corporate plane for the brethren anytime they want to fly off to somewhere. And I didn't even give it a moment's thought. I was like, well, if the brethren do it, it must be right? So it's going to be really hard to kind of penetrate people's, TBM, the average TBM mind right now. But it will probably hit them in a few years. Give it time. I think what is it? Oh yeah. I mean, if we have consecrated funds, right? Consecrated means. And the fact that the church is trying to do this to a third party, I don't think it's illegal, but it's not ethical. It's not being honest to our fellow men. Like we've denied temple recommends for really petty reasons, right? And
Josh,
for people who are being honest about.
You said that as if
I'm ranting here.
No, Josh, you said that as if doing illegal things was off the board for them, that they only do unethical things. But this is a church that has screwed the SEC and the IRS, allegedly, as that has begun to sort of work itself out in the data. The SEC, literally, the IRS, allegedly.
You do bring up a good point about this. I almost that's just how much news happens that I just pretty much forgot about the whole SEC thing until you brought it up. Of course, I paid attention when it happened, but illegal
is not beneath them. Illegal's not beneath them. They do both the illegal and the unethical.
Illegal is a feature, not a bug for some guys.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they have an entire law firm across the street from them that's wholly dedicated to getting them out of legal jams, right? I guess
it is them.
They don't.
Curtin and McConkie is them.
It is them, right?
But
right.
Fair Mormon is them.
Yeah.
And I got a feeling this ad agency is them.
The More Good Foundation is them. Yes, the ad agency is them.
Right. Yeah, it is them. Oh, and speaking of lawyers, right? Can I give a brief shout out to a friend of mine? He's a lawyer too, and I knew him when I was a kid back in New York, but I'm not going to mention his name.
Is this back when you were in juvie?
He always mentions whenever. No. Back when I was a very young kid in primary, and he was a little bit older than me, but he always mentions whenever he hears my name or sees my name on the chat. He's an avid follower of you guys. But he knows who he is. His dad was a former mission president, and he is a returned missionary himself. So the fact that he's watching you, listening to you guys regularly, it's kind of he's the last person I expected to kind of listen to you guys, right? But then he's smart enough to kind of put two and two together. So I just want to give a shout out to him because he always mentioned when he heard me. Can I just share one more thought about this whole thing, and then I'll go? You
got 10 seconds to share it,
you guys
friend.
are talking about. Okay.
Tell us quick.
We as lawyers, right, in the Book of Mormon, didn't the Book of Mormon warn us against lawyers, right? Kind of, people who do shady stuff for money, right? And they use the law to get.
Half these guys are lawyers.
Yeah, and so. So, like, the Book of Mormon, ironically, warned us about the very thing that the church now it's kind of what it's doing, and I just think it's really ironic. And it's probably lost on them too. Like they probably read the Book of Mormon, the Alma chapters where Ezra is kind of like first he's anti and then he's converted, and they're like, nah, they're not talking about us. They have no idea. They're just that much in the bubble themselves. So.
All right. Thank you,
But,
Josh. Thank you for the thoughts,
now
my friend.
Yes. Thank you, guys. And
Take
have
it
a good
easy.
night. You too.
I think he made a couple of great points. This thing, the way it operates, you just have to just sit with it. It's one of the things, I don't know what it was, maybe 10 years ago or so. I moved somewhere in my head from trying to be logical about why things are good and bad, but also to feel into why things are wrong or right. In other words, when you sit with how things impact others in the distress and discomfort and trauma you pass on to people by behaving a certain way towards them. And so when you measure good and bad, not only by logical arguments, but also by the impact of the actions on the world around you, you can notice a lot. For me, I noticed a lot quicker immediately, like something is wrong here. Something's not right. I can't quite explain it yet, but it's just not right. And there's so much that the church does that you're like, it doesn't feel like something that a group of 15 wise, good, healthy, controlled ego men, these are the kind of moves that they would make.
Well, when you're winning the Monopoly game, everybody else's property is kind of yours for the buying.
Yeah.
It creates a certain mindset, I think.
Yeah.
It's called the lawyer's disease. You see money, you think it's yours.
Yeah. It's gross. You were mentioning earlier, we've got 9 minutes left. You were mentioning earlier, if only someone could serve for 1 year as the quarterback. Maybe somebody, Jake Retzlaff will go on a 1-year mission.
Oh, right. That was yeah. Not such an inside joke. But it was a reference to another news story that you were telling me about.
Yeah.
Another football player for BYU.
Yeah. And we were talking about this. The quarterback Ryder Lyons will get a exemption. He'll get to go for 1 year.
Is that like Simon's Ryder?
Yeah, sort of like that, except it's the other way around. So it's Ryder Lyons. So this is a guy named Ryder Lyons. He's a gentleman entering BYU. He's a high school prospect. I think he's 13th in the nation or something. And he gets to go on a 1-year mission. How do you think that makes everyone around him? How do you think that makes his district leader feel? His zone leader feel? The assistant to the president feel when this guy gets to come out on a mission and just go for 1 year when everyone else had to go for 2?
Taken for granted, probably.
Yeah. The rules for
granted. This is how I would feel. I got to tell you, because I was looking at this and I was thinking, man, this just really chaps my hide. And I just think, everybody makes a sacrifice to go on a 2-year mission. And I did back in 79. And then for a brief period of time, it was 1.5 years for the guys because God thought it would help increase the number of people going on missions to the point where it would make up for it, right? Overall time. But God was wrong once again. So a couple years later, they changed it back to 2 years, and it's been that way ever since. But when you've got a situation where the church regularly asks its youngest and finest, the flower of its youth, to go on missions. And specifically, the guys are really required to go on a mission. You're required. You're expected to go on a mission. Maybe that's a better word. The expression when I was young was, every worthy young man should serve a mission, and if he's not worthy, then he needs to get himself so. Okay? And the women, they're not expected to go on a mission, but they are certainly accepted on a mission. I think they've made that more and more open, and now there's positions of leadership that they didn't have before. They're still not equal with the guys, but there are things happening, is what I'm trying to say, in the mission field that weren't happening there, but it's still 2 years for the guys. And this guy's just going to go for 1 year. And it's like, okay, so this is a big fuck you to every other missionary who has to serve 2 years because they are not valuable enough to the church to only do 1 year. Because what the church is telling everybody is what we care about is not you as a person. We've never cared about you as a person. And by the way, it pains me to say this. I need to preface this. It really pains me to say this because I try to think that this is not the case, that this is not the church that I love so much, and maybe still do, which is why it still disappoints. I don't know if it could, if I still didn't love it somewhere. But this kind of thing where they tell this guy 1 year, they don't care about us as human beings. They care about what we can do for the church. That's all. And when we go for 2 years, this guy has a special thing that he can do, which is play football. And the church wants him to play football. Don't try and distinguish the church from BYU on this, okay? The church wants him to play football, wants him to play next semester, so they're going to make a special exception for him of 1 year. I think that is a mistake. I think that is an insult to all of the missionaries who have served 2 years. And maybe let me say that this is not necessarily a rational argument. It's certainly an emotional feeling that I have about this. I think that he should be treated the same way as everybody else. And you see, the church isn't looking at his sacrifice. They're looking at their sacrifice. They don't want to have to sacrifice. They don't want to have to wait 2 years to have him come back. It's always what the church, what the membership can do for the church, not what the church can do for the membership. And I will say once again in my defense that at or around 2005, I believe it was, and I believe it was attending ceremonies having to do with the dedication of the Nauvoo Temple, that Gordon B. Hinckley was calling some new people, and he called this elderly gentleman, to be some kind of calling right in the church. And it was, and Gordon B. Hinckley joked, it may have been a priesthood meeting. Gordon B. Hinckley joked and said, "We've worn brother so-and-so out on one side, and now we're going to turn him over and wear him out on the other side." And everybody laughed, and I laughed, and, brother so-and-so, I'm sure, laughed. It was a memorable line. It was cleverly given, but it was only sometime after that it began haunting me that President Hinckley said the quiet part out loud. That is all that the church cares about its members, is what they can get out of their members, and they'll wear them down on one side, then turn them over and wear them out on the other. Then they go on the ash heap, and they got other members that they're going to do the same thing with. I hope that what I hope is that there are at least some members who, because of this, wake up and smell the Java and realize that the church seeks to use them, just the way that a person playing Monopoly uses the little hotels and the houses and the deeds.
Yeah. I want to note here that it's possible that you and I are off base. Here's what I mean. That sentence, a member, again, Ryder Lyons, 5-star quarterback out of Folsom, California, announced his commitment to BYU, making him the highest rated recruit to commit to the Cougars since 2003. The BYU just got done signing that Dybansta guy in the basketball program.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Retzlaff, we've had a conversation about him and name, image, likeness, and he was highly recruited out of high school. But this guy is like elite. This guy on the screen, Ryder Lyons. That first sentence on the bottom part, a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They don't have any problem with it being the full name there. Lyons has said that he plans to serve a year-long mission as opposed to the traditional 2 years that proselyting male missionaries serve. In other words, they're not only differing his 1 year from the 2 year, they're also differing whatever his mission is from the traditional proselytizing male missionary normal service. Now, what I mean by that is it's possible that the church, because I know it's done this, created service missions, but there were still, if I'm not mistaken, there were still things about what would allow a service mission to take place, someone to go on a shorter mission, and what would allow someone to be required to go 2 years.
Are service missions shorter?
I don't know that. What I'm saying,
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I know that they had service missions, and there would be extenuating circumstances where certain people have what we would call like legitimate challenges for why they might not be able to serve a full 2 years.
Right.
But allowing an athlete to serve just 1 year so that he can get back to making the school gain influence through his athletic gift is a way of getting to a decision that seems so counter to anything that you taught me was in the gospel of Jesus Christ. You make everyone else go for 2. RFM, what would happen if you asked to go for 1 year only?
No.
What would happen if you said, I will not go unless you let me go for 1 year?
And you're not going.
Yeah.
I mean, who would say such a thing?
Do you think in this moment, every person out there can go to the church and go, I'd like to just serve a 1-year mission?
No. I mean, they can. They can go to the church and say that.
Yeah. But it won't happen.
No. And I did want to say one thing about this is that when I went on my mission, I'm at the MTC. It's the end of 2000. No, 1979. Another century, another millennia ago. And we all understand that Donny Osmond's not going on a mission, because he dances and sings and gets all the girls. So, and we understand that none of the Osmonds are going on missions because we get the idea that, yeah, they're out, everybody knows they're Mormon and they're a great plug for the church, right? And we get that. Now, on the other hand, Johnny Whitaker went on a mission. I think he was at the MTC shortly before me. I heard reports of his going through. And if I recall correctly, the scuttlebutt was he went to Portugal on his mission. So I guess he was big, but not as big as the Osmonds. I mean, who's as big as the Osmonds, right? No answer. Okay.
Yeah, well, nobody's, when it comes to Mormonism, whatever it was, the 80s, 70s, nobody was bigger than the Osmonds.
Oh, well, they're probably, yeah, there's a lot of people who are bigger than the Osmonds, but they had a lot of great songs. And
I mean, Mormons. They were the Mormon elite in.
Oh, yes.
In that space.
Very much so. Very much so. And so they were very, very, everybody knew them. And they'd been for years, for crying out loud, since they were little kids on the Andy, it was Andy Williams Christmas shows. And they got introduced to America and everything. And, they went from there. So they've been around for a long time. I get this. But I don't know. There's something about this 1 year just really makes it sound like the church really doesn't care about how it might make everybody else feel. Should it make everybody else feel, maybe it's just because I'm such a small person inside. Maybe that's what's being reflected here. Should any other missionaries feel any way? I mean, it doesn't affect them. They're still doing their 2 years. Should they have no feelings about it? What do you think out there? Do you think that missionaries should feel like no feelings at all? Or feeling, yeah, this is a good decision because this guy can play and I can't play quarterback. I'm not a college level quarterback. I can't play for BYU. And he can go in there and he can win them for the Lord's team. And that's more important than being out here on the mission.
He's playing a game, RFM. He's playing a game. We've made it a big deal. We pay athletes lots of money, and now we pay college athletes lots of money, but they're just playing a game. It's just entertainment.
Well, I got a feeling it's a lot more fun than knocking on doors for 2 years.
Yeah. This guy gets a favor. And by the way, you could argue that Donny Osmond gets to do his missionary influence out there doing, all of the stuff he does. A college athlete, even if they're a high recruit, has so little chance of playing in the NFL. They're now playing around everyone who is highly sought after in their high schools. The chance they make it to the pros is slim to none.
Yeah.
You're basically have a guy who's going to play for 4 years, and the most likely ending is that he just goes away and shows up at autograph signing things every few months at some grocery store.
I'm going to say this really briefly here, and maybe there's not too much of the story, but the bottom line is this, so that is that I went on a mission. Everybody knows that. Okay. I was a dancer. I'd fallen in love with dance when I was 16. I left in my mission 3 years later at 19. Dancers have a short shelf life as well. I didn't make a big deal about it, although I did ask my bishop if there was some way I could serve a mission that wouldn't, that would be like part-time or a job or something like that, where I could go to work and still, not completely give up my dance. No, the answer was no.
No.
And so that's why I answered your question so quickly, of course that was 40 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
And and I went on my mission and I did my time and I did the best job I was capable of and learned a lot of things, but I didn't do a lot of dancing. And so now that I came back and, I wasn't going to go to Vegas. I'm not going to, be a headliner or anything, I'm not going to play whatever the equivalent is of Major League Baseball in dancing. But I did that. And so I just think that when the church plays favorites, and by the way, I got to make it clear, it doesn't make any difference whether I had a special sacrifice that I made. In fact, that's the whole thing I'm inveighing against, is this idea of a special sacrifice being made by a person who's got offers. It's usually an athlete of some sort. It might be golf. I've seen that happen, with farewells and such. But they're all real. But if you're going to make the sacrifice, and don't be half-assing it. And the church shouldn't be allowing it, in my opinion, because I think that sets a sends a bad message to the troops. Sets a bad example for the troops.
Everyone in the kingdom is equal. That's bullshit. They tell you it's bullshit. We're talking about missions. Who didn't serve an LDS mission? I'll tell you a few. Elder Henry B. Eyring didn't serve a mission. Elder Dallin H. Oaks didn't serve a mission. Russell Nelson didn't serve a mission. Dieter Uchtdorf didn't serve a mission. Thomas Monson didn't serve a mission. Now, I know that with a couple of them, they served in military service and hence would not have been available.
At least Tom Monson was fighting on our side.
I know who you're talking about in the cockpit. All right. But not all of them served in the military, RFM.
No.
I wonder if we asked, why didn't you serve a mission which everyone else in the church felt was mandatory? I wonder what in their life led them down a different track and why they didn't answer the call when the call came.
I don't know. Another thing I don't know is how, with the exception of World War freaking II, I mean, I get that, okay? And God bless Tom Monson and his service in the United States Navy, I believe it is. But how is that not like a non-negotiable on the job description? Just for a GA, not to mention an apostle who's going to work their way up to be all three in the first presidency. None of them have served missions, and this is supposed to be an example.
None of them. Yeah. And not that I want that required, but man, damn it, don't pressure the kids to go when half of you in the last two first presidencies didn't go. You as a group don't think it's that important because a lot of you didn't go.
You know how I know that Cardinellis doesn't know that? Because he doesn't even know the names of all the members of the first presidency.
He doesn't know that.
Now we should have the laugh track there.
You're not going to get that information on Word Radio.
That was a good joke.
Yeah, well, over my head, I guess. Anyway,
we're at 138. My gosh, I didn't know we had already crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
As we close up here, folks, we'd love to know what you think about things. Leave your comment down there below. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And don't in the synopsis there on YouTube, you can go into the donation link. If you want to make this show a success, help us to keep this going far into the future. If you like Mormonism After Dark, please go to that link and donate. A couple bucks a month would be great.
By the way, Trevor Larson says, and other people have been making similar comments, that his grandpa was in World War II and served a mission after. So it's not like being in World War II is a proscription against serving a mission.
Yeah.
But me, just, you know how touchy I am and how sensitive I am about the whole subject. I got no problems at all with somebody, fighting in the military in lieu of serving a mission.
Yeah. Half the tickets, I just ended the call in studio. Half the tickets for our event are sold.
Saturday night, August 2nd?
August 2nd, Saturday
Yay.
night. There are 60 tickets that were put up, and 30 of those are sold. So there's half left. So if you want to come to Salt Lake City, meet with RFM and I, have a fun night, have a great meal, enjoy each other's company, lots of laughs, get to know your journey, you get to know more about ours. Please register for that event. And I did put that in the very beginning of the live chat. You'll see that comment there, but I'll put it in again.
Yes, thank you very much. And did you want to mention at all about the other one?
I was going to let you do that.
Oh, okay. So on the following Monday, that's August 4th, we are going to have in a separate, totally separate kind of event and place. It'll be a different kind of event. It's Monday night, so we're going to be doing the newscast. We're going to be doing it in a small theater in Salt Lake City, and it'll be live. We're going to have a live audience. So it'll be like the Mormon newscast in front of a live studio audience. It's been a long time since I've heard those words.
It's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah. And we're going to call it that because it's going to be the Mormon newscast in front of a live studio audience.
Yeah.
So it should be, like I said, a lot of fun. And yeah, we're really looking forward to it and looking forward to everybody who's going to be there.
RFM, what a fun time. You and I get together here on Friday nights. We let loose a little bit. We're maybe a little more crass. We're a little more overt, perhaps. But what a fun time it is to get together with the audience who follows us so loyally. By the way, folks, just to let you know, the Mormonism After Dark audience is the most loyal of all the shows that we put out. It's the show that where the people who show up every week are here every week. They keep coming back. Whereas in YouTube, one of the algorithms you look at, or one of the metrics you look at, is where people join the show at the very beginning and then they drop off at some point. It's very normal for a YouTube channel to have 30 or 40% of people drop off immediately because it's just not the video they want to watch. The Mormonism After Dark is the show on our channel where the folks stay the longest and stay and don't go away. They don't leave. You guys are such a loyal fan base, and really appreciate you tuning in each week to hear what we have to say on Mormonism.
That is really, really nice. I chalk it up to the blood oaths.
It could be the blood oaths and the second anointings and all the signs and tokens.
I have hundreds of ways of binding you to me.
Yeah. So, folks, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Those friends thou hast, bind them to thy soul.
What's that from?
Hoops of steel. I can't remember. It's thy soul. It's Hamlet.
Hamlet. Yeah.
Among the injunctions that Polonius is giving to Laertes before he leaves for France in the first act.
Yeah. I'm
more famously being, do not a borrower nor a lender be, for loan off loses both itself and friend.
It should be all business when you're the borrower or the lender, huh? It shouldn't be family, shouldn't be your friends.
And to thine own self be true, right?
Yep.
For it must follow as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. It's the same speech.
Mm.
The reason it's funny is because Polonius has none of those qualities that he's enjoining upon his son. That is the irony. All right, so am I taking us out of here? Is that what you want me to do?
Please do.
I could go into the first, soliloquy or speech. I think it's a soliloquy, and Richard III now is the winner of our discontent. I'll just keep reciting while everybody goes home and while we turn off the lights in the studio, and I'll just sit here in my tux and keep reciting, okay? But everybody else, you get to go. Have a great week, and thanks for joining us. Please join us Monday for the newscast at 6 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time, as well as Wednesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time for Mormonism After Dark. And then something weird's happening this coming weekend, isn't there, with this show? Is it going to be on Saturday?
We haven't talked about
yet.
We haven't talked about that yet.
Oh, we'll talk about it.
We'll have to figure it out.
We'll just keep your entire weekend free for whenever we decide we're going to put our show, okay? We'll let you know when we get to it. Thanks so much for watching. Please join us next time on Mormonism After Dark. Good night, everybody.
I'm more of a fan of